All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another React Wednesdays. I am TJ Van Tol. I work as a developer advocate at Progress. With me, as always, Dan Wilson. How are you doing, Dan?
Hey, doing good. I'm Dan Wilson. I work with Digital Primates, and we do enterprise React consulting. And we curate the Enterprise React newsletter. And so if that's your jam, subscribe. We'll never sell your email.
So if you're new here, React Wednesdays, this is a stream. We do it every week. We do it on Wednesday, as the name implies. And basically, we just bring in awesome people from around the React world, people that are doing cool stuff, and we chat with them. So if you're interested in this, it's telerik.com/React Wednesdays. And you can find information on upcoming shows. For example, next week, we're going to be talking about Gatsby. We've got Kiro Piansky from the Kendo React team, who's doing some pretty awesome stuff with Gatsby. We're going to chat about that. Week after that, we have David McCabe from the Facebook team working on Recoil. It's just a state management tool for React that should be pretty exciting as well. So if you're curious about that, there's buttons on here you can set for reminders and such so you don't miss it. It's cool stuff. All right, but this week, we're going to be talking about videos and Remotion. So first, I want to welcome in another person on our panel today. Welcome back, Christian Pillsbury. Christian, how you doing?
Hello, hello. Want to go through my intro?
Yeah, for people that haven't seen you on React Wednesdays before, you want to tell people who you are, what you do?
Sure, yeah. I'm also over at Digital Primates with Dan. I'm a senior consultant there, do a lot of work in React, and also relevant to this conversation, I've got some pretty deep experience in the video world as well. So this should be a fun one.
Awesome. And speaking of video, today we're talking about Remotion, and our special guest for today, let's welcome Jonny YT. I'm going to at least try to get the pronunciation right.
Yes, that's right. Thanks everybody for having me.
So Jonny, you want to tell people who you are, what you do, that sort of stuff?
Sure. Okay. So I am originally I'm an app developer from Zurich, Switzerland, doing mostly my own apps, and I wanted to create a lot of visual promotions for my upcoming app, and then I kind of went off on a side project and made a framework for making videos in React, and I launched it about a month ago, and now that has become my biggest project, and that's what I spend most of my time on. So yeah, I'm the creator of Remotion, a framework for making videos in React.
Which is very cool. I kind of like how you sort of accidentally created a video editor. I'm curious. So the need was you were building a lot of these types of visualizations, and was it that existing video editors weren't giving you what you needed, and you saw sort of a unique opportunity for a tool like this?
Yeah, so I think the most popular way to create these motion graphics is After Effects from Adobe. And I use that as well, but I think one of the things that I was missing the most is that that you cannot keep these things generic. So there's a thing called composition in After Effects. It's kind of like a React component, but the difference is that if you copy a composite, or if you copy the contents of a composition, then and then you want to change something in it later, you have to change each instance of them. Or you can wrap them into a container composition, and then you can copy paste it and reuse it. But there are no props to make them dynamic. So I wanted to bring this model from React where you can reuse components, but customize them at the same time to video. This is what I was, as a React developer, very obviously missing from my video editing program. And yeah, thought it's possible, and ended up creating it.
It almost reminds me of years ago, the first time I saw a web-based slide tool. What's the I forget what the framework is that first started that.
Oh, is it Reveal.js?
Yeah, Reveal. But at the time, before that, I never thought to me, slides were just a PowerPoint thing or a Keynote thing, right? I wouldn't have thought of building it in the web, but once that project came out, it was like, well, why not use the web for this sort of thing? And I kind of had that same moment with when I first saw your project, just because I don't think of a video editor as like a web thing, right? I think of just these big monolithic desktop tools, but seeing it, it's like, well, actually, why not? In a sense, there's some things that are interesting about approaching it from a web-based and a React-based way.
Yeah, totally. And as it turned out, I think the web is quite capable of doing or animatable, which enable quite a few use cases.
You know, one thing that comes to mind is there's this application called the Portable North Pole. And what you do with that is sort of provide in some information about your, let's say, your child and what they want for Christmas. And the Portable North Pole application will basically configure a personalized video that like says your child's name and like shows the toys that they want. And it looks like Santa Claus recorded a very special message just for you. But as you can imagine, they didn't. It's really just assembled content with personalization. And when I saw Remotion, that was one of the first things I thought of is if you can programmatically customize video, like you really can unlock a whole lot of interesting services or ideas that would be just not accomplishable if you had to do it all by hand with a usual a video tool. What kind of use cases did you imagine when you started this?
Yeah, it was pretty similar thinking. Also, whenever I see like a company providing these customized and personalized videos, I am kind of stunned. And then I was also like Googling how do they do these things, and there wasn't like an obvious answer for this. I think many of these frameworks are like enterprise like or private. So two videos that made me think like this is a real use case. The first one is like this Facebook friendship videos. When you like are befriended with someone on Facebook, you get like after 5 years like a slideshow of your friend highlights. And the other thing was the Spotify Wrapped, which happens annually. Really awesome, like a story like format where you can see what were your top songs on Spotify, personalized for millions of users.
That's a really good point, because something like that gives a nice personal touch. And since it can be configured and done at scale, doesn't require massive amounts of human labor to do it.
Yeah, also like looking at the two pieces you're pulling together, the like you were calling out the fact that the web is kind of like well suited to moving audio-visual information because of the way CSS transitions works, because of the way that like it supports video, etc. But I actually think on top of that, you choosing React doesn't just allow you to have that reusability and composability, but it's also built around this concept of a render cycle that also is really well suited to something like an animation of information, whether it's audio or video, because each change can prompt a new cycle, which can then generate a new frame. And it's similar to like between your animation frames in the browser with things like request animation frame, and between things like the way React is architected fundamentally at a like core basic level, it really is a good fit for like thinking about it in terms of just frames of there's a change, then there's another change, and we can turn that into moving changes over time, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's not just like the fact that it's built on React is also really useful based on how its context works and how its render cycles works. So how does Remotion actually work is basically it gives you, so you get a hook called use current frame, which returns the current frame number, and you are supposed to render something based on that frame. It also means that all the animations have to be driven by that frame number that you get from React, which also made some people make mistakes. So some people, they try to render GIFs, or they try to do something with CSS transitions, or use some other libraries like React Spring, which don't base their animations on that Remotion's variable. So that does not work actually in Remotion, because you need to base all your animations around what Remotion tells you is the current frame. And the reason why, for example, a GIF doesn't work is because a GIF just plays no matter if React refreshes its props or context. But all the animations in Remotion are actually like made in a way that you can like scrub your timeline slider forward and backwards and pause and play.
Right.
Mhm.
So that's the benefit of using this use current frame hook, which is given by the context.
I
So
wonder.
a GIF would be out of sync. It would be running on its own timer, so to speak. And for this framework to work correctly, it all has to work off of the main timer, if that's a way to put it.
Yes, exactly. So not everything is not everything, like for example, GIFs are not working out of the box, or also videos would not be working. But we are shipping like a video and soon an audio component,
Perfect.
which will synchronize with the timeline. And also soon there's going to be like a GIF component, which will make GIFs work. And how it works is it will just it's a component that allows you to like jump to a specific frame of a GIF, pause it, and control each frame individually. It's like some crazy WebAssembly stuff that someone did. Like really crazy, like parsing the GIF and like extracting each frame and then displaying it in a canvas. So I think it's the right approach to do so, and we are building this stuff over time, and I think there's even more exciting stuff to come.
Yeah, and on top of that, if you can, so basically my understanding of the problem is there's coordination in both directions when you're talking about these things that aren't on the same frame cycle as React. Effectively, React is generating your frame cycle through your frame hook infrastructure. But if you want to use the built-in tools, which are happening independently, for some of them, you can, as long as you can get the information out from the whatever framing it's relying on. So with like video, if you're monitoring the time updates and stuff like that, you might and potentially doing fancy things like adjusting the playback rate, like you can like kind of get it to stay roughly at the right frame per. And then the other direction, you can either use a bespoke version, like people bullying in WebAssembly, which I think has been doing wonders for the video world, assuming you have the resources for your browser and your machine to support those. There's a lot of cool stuff happening with WebAssembly ports of all sorts of things. But yeah, just making sure that you are signaling down, like, here is the frame I want to be playing. Kind of like march it along and keep it in sync. So yeah, that's super cool.
It sounds pretty awesome. Jonny, would it be possible to get a look at this?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen and we can I can show you a little demo of what it is about.
Yeah, it should be exciting. And we had a question come in from chat. This is something that's available to the public too, right? Like anybody can go try this out.
Yes, I think the best way to start is to go to remotion.dev, read a bit into it. We are trying to have a lot of documentation there and also video tutorials and examples to get started. And what you will read there is that how to start an actual And then it will ask me to pick a name. And I will have to wait until it installs a few dependencies.
Yeah, I went through this yesterday on Windows and it worked perfectly. Of course, I was using Windows Subsystem for Linux, which gets even more complicated, but the instructions on the site were perfect and everything worked exactly how it was supposed to. In fact, when I got to the animation of the React logo, I'm like, well, where's the image files? And I kept looking through the code, looking for hard image files until I found out it's SVG. And I thought, I don't know what to do from here. Like, I'm not an SVG guy. I can't even draw stick figures. So I'm dying to see how you use this tool.
Yeah, so first of all, I'm really glad the installation went well, especially on Windows. It wasn't always like that, but people have submitted issues and have installed Windows here in a virtual machine on my Mac, and we figured it out. Really glad it went well. And yeah, so SVG is really cool. It's like once you get the gist of it, oh, this is an ellipse, this is a line, this is how you define a path. It's really cool, but it is advanced, so you don't need to use SVG at all. And I would say today, let's not use SVG at all for the sake of simplicity. I think we have like around half an hour only, so let's keep it simple. So I'm gonna do npm start. So it actually uses npm. It's an npm project. Okay, so and it will open, and you can see the Hello World project playing here. So as you can see, it's like inspired by Create React App, where you just run it, and it tells you can edit something and save to reload. And here the idea would be that I can change anything, like the colors, even while the video is playing. I can just fast refresh and get all the updates. But okay, I don't want to spend too much time on that. I'm just going to delete like the Hello World files and create a new component. So I would suggest everyone to just create a fresh component, and I'm just going to call this main.
And so just to explain this at the high level, basically your project Remotion just bootstraps. It looks like it's using something like Create React App under the hood for the bootstrapping part. And it's basically just creating a template version of how you can create effectively just a React project, a React application, but using your component in your architecture with all of the core pieces. Is that a good high-level description?
Yeah, so it's very similar in idea to Create React App. It's like a Webpack dev server that's running. But yeah, essentially like a React project with Remotion pre-installed and a nice Hello World example. You could also set it up all yourself if you really wanted to. And you could also implement Remotion into your already existing application. But here we have like a setup of npm start, npm run build, which is what we are going to use to render our MP4 video. And it also has like a Docker file and server and stuff like that. Pre-installed, just like all the dependencies.
Is the build something that can your UI almost kick off a build? I'm curious what you're actually using to build the actual video file under the hood.
So it will. I think I will show it at the end when we will have a video how it will actually look like. But so it will just basically make a lot of screenshots using Puppeteer. For each frame, it will make one screenshot, and then it will just concatenate them to a video.
Oh, that's
Um,
fascinating, actually.
I know, isn't it?
Shipping it off to
Yeah, and it really does like work without any problems. Like the graphics are sharp. You don't get any flicker and stuff. We can use here on my fast machine. I can use up to 16x parallelism, so it isn't that slow either.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I'll let you.
and
I'll let you keep. I'll let you
soon
keep
we are
going.
going
But
to
I'm
figure out which audio gets inputted and gonna merge that into an audio stream.
cool. I'll let you keep going.
Cool. Okay, so I did set this up. So I define a composition. Basically here I just define how long the video is, which frame rate and which dimensions it has, and I define the component. And I'm just gonna go into that and not do too much explanation because I don't think we have that much time. So here I'm gonna give this like a white background and maybe apply flex one so that it becomes so we have like a white background. And well, I thought since it's React Wednesdays and we are referring to the day of the week, I thought it would be like cool to have like some kind of calendar animation. So I'm gonna try to do that and have like a calendar.
I'm glad you're doing this because I have no idea how to make a calendar animation. I really don't. So I'm really excited to see this happen.
I did not prepare anything either, so I also hope
We'll see.
it will
No pressure, Johnny. No pressure.
go well. So, okay, I think let's start off by making a square or something. Do you guys know styled components? Do you like it, or should I just keep it raw?
You can do it however you'd like. I have mixed feelings. Whatever you're going to be
Okay.
fastest with.
I'm gonna show you like my preferred way of doing it using styled components. Yeah, the nice thing is that you can like write normal CSS. So
I do like the normal CSS syntax.
yeah, right. It's it also then makes it easier to keep the React markup clean. Of course, there are many different ways of having CSS in JS. A lot of discussions as well, but I like to keep it like that. Okay, so we have our square. I'm gonna try to center it, I suppose. And I'm gonna try to make it look like a calendar. So maybe we can increase it a bit in size. Have a box shadow, maybe.
Yeah, I'll be able to see it at least then. That does look
Maybe
like
you
a
see
calendar
where
icon now.
Where I'm going with this. And then let's have like a.
You gonna put like
a
a grid in
title
there,
bar.
or? Oh yeah, title bar is good.
So
If nothing else, I'm impressed by how quickly you're able to type this out and throw this together.
One of the fastest CSS writers
I'm
I've
really
seen.
hurrying up. I'm telling you. Normally I take it more chill, but I want to give you the best animation in this time that we have. Okay, let's just add overflow hidden here so it will look right.
Yeah, kill the corners.
Right. And maybe we can get a nicer red. We always have time for that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be disappointed if you
Yeah,
went with the wrong color red.
Just call React Wednesdays.
I say ship it. It looks great so far.
Okay, so we can have like so
Like throw March in there, or
let's put in like name of the week or something. So let's increase the font size to big, text line, center, color white, font, family, something like Arial. It's gonna be fine.
hack in a little top padding or to center. Or yeah, do it the flex way. Yeah. Impressive. I would have to Google the syntax to get that.
Oh damn. I made a mistake. Okay. Now it's right. So this is all basic stuff. Let's like duplicate them to demonstrate that you can duplicate stuff in this video editing program, which is unusual, right? I mean, like duplicate and then parameterize it.
I see. Okay.
And after that, I'm gonna start really animating stuff. So let's have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday or something. All right. It's not bad. Let's just hack it by adding some margin to each one of them. Okay, and yeah. So now I need to think about where I want to go with it. While I'm doing, okay, let's try to do something like this. Let's have like, let's start with Monday, then we scroll to the right with Tuesday, and then Wednesday, and then if it's Wednesday, we're gonna like show a React logo or something.
Yeah, or make it like grow in size or something, right?
Yeah, right. Do you like that? Or
yeah.
we can.
Let's
I think that shows a lot of things. You know, that you can take something and animate it, and then react to a certain piece of data that's a certain way. I mean, seems pretty fundamental to someone else using this. I think it's useful.
Yeah, honestly, we can do literally anything. The main thing I'm trying to wrap my brain about is how you work with time with this. So you could make them do quite literally anything. I'm just kind of curious how the programming around that works.
Definitely. Okay, so I decided to make it a bit more clean, hopefully.
So what is absolute fill doing here?
An absolute fill, that's like a helper component. It's just absolutely positions it, makes it 100% width and height. That's basically it. Okay, so I added Monday, Tuesday. Now they are overlaid to each other. Now what we can do is we can like animate the X position, for example. So let's say we want to animate. So let's say we want to have Monday come in at 1 second, and we want the animation to take 1 second as well.
Makes sense.
So now we need to import. Now we need to call the use current frame hook, as I have mentioned before, and we need to I'm also going to call this use video config hook to tell me I can extract from that the width of the current composition. And let's say we want to animate it. We want to start the animation from at 1 second. We want it to take 1 second, and we want to animate it in from the right. That's gonna work like this. So we're going to use a function called interpolate. We're gonna say what drives the animation. In that case, it's the time. Then we say it will start at 1 second. How do we say 1 second? So for that, we also need to know the FPS actually.
Frames per second. Yep.
Yes, we need to know the frame rate. And so if it's 30 FPS, then 30 frames is 1 second. And 2 seconds is 2 FPS. And we want to start with the full width as an offset and animate it to 0. That way it will slide in from the right.
So thus far, what you've animated is a value, is a way to think about that, right?
Yes, so far I've calculated the translate X value for each frame. And let's add it.
Oh, I see. So you're quite literally applying the CSS transform on it, and your tools are just helping control the calculation of that.
For this example, though, he does have other components that also like know things about frames that also allow you to. So basically, you can think of a lot of this as what you're really doing is to connect the React side with the animation side or the video side is you're animating values, which is causing updates, which is causing snapshots, like he said, under the hood, which is causing a frame that ends up in a video. That's kind of like the steps of the moving pieces. Is that accurate, Jonny?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes, pretty much. So as you can see, it's now animating. It like even overshoots. And we can prevent that by saying extrapolate left clamp and extrapolate right clamp. So now what it will do is it will just stay there. And now we don't have to manually animate this for all days. We can just like make this a function for example. So let's say we can pass in like an index, and we do maybe something like this.
Changing like the rate of it based off the day or the position.
So now I want to animate multiple calendars in a row so that they come in like as a sequence. Let's try it out. I can even like create an array here, and I don't have to like have too much markup.
Yeah.
You can also use date and get the date number from the date object if you used Monday.
Yeah, that's what I was also thinking. I could just get the current date. You could do something cool with that, and then every time you render, it's like you get a different video. That would be really cool.
Well, I think things like this are sort of selling at me on what's compelling about this, because if I tried to open my video editor and do some of this stuff, like it's just straight up not going to happen. Like here I have like total control over this. It's kind of blowing my mind because this is really a fascinating way of approaching this.
Well, also to Johnny's point earlier, like the part of the inspiration being After Effects, but also just the way what React lends itself to. This, you can kind of think of this as having the potential of having like open shared recipes for certain things. So I don't know if you've ever worked with like D3 or similar things, but there's a whole global community on like, here's how you solve this problem. Here's the code. You can pull it down. So this is another sort of infrastructure that like, it's like, hey, I figured out how to do this thing. Here's the code. You can just take it. And if you need to tweak it, you can, but it's like shareable very easily, both from like GitHub if you wanted to actually pull down the source, or just like from a website. So a lot of possibilities there.
Yes, I mean that's one of the most beautiful things about it, I think, is that you can already do so much with our developer tools that we have right now, and we just enable them for video creation without having to do any more work. I didn't have to reinvent Git, but we can use Git, we can use GitHub, you can send me a pull request, you can fork it, you can revert a change, you can rebase, you can multiple people can work on it. All that is possible, things that were not previously possible for a video workflow.
Yeah, and you can pull in data and use it. Like you could connect this to my Outlook calendar and then see how many meetings I had that week and show like a bunch of cute puppies if the number is more than 20.
There's not enough screen real estate for that.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a bummer, but I could show you. I can use the Fetch API and actually make a video out of it. Also, there's documentation of how to make Remotion wait for the data to be loaded. But that is like an actual real supported use case.
Yeah,
so far what you have here looks really neat. Like that's like 15 minutes worth of work, and like I literally would still be going, I wonder how you make a calendar piece.
Yeah, let's continue. We can, so let's display like date. I'm actually gonna do it. Get date.
I guess there it's just really tiny.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's make it bigger.
All right, so we're getting a date container now.
That's right.
We're going to have you back on so you can teach me about the little shortcuts you're doing here, because I'm equally fascinated by that.
Yeah, the CSS shortcuts I'm using.
Yeah, just you clearly have a bunch of shortcuts for like formatting and also just like auto completing and that sort of thing, and it's mesmerizingly efficient.
Actually, I'm not so efficient. My secret is actually just like being on the spot, and now I can't really slack.
They just always have you recorded in public when you're getting work done.
Yeah.
Yeah, just being a bit under pressure, and it's gonna work out well. But it's called Emmet, if you want to know the name of the.
Okay.
I've heard of that.
So let's like allow to give it an offset. It's not always the same. Yeah, you can also have these bugs that you usually don't have. Okay, I'm gonna hack it. I'm sorry. Now it's actually chronologically correct.
Yep.
And yeah, let's have a little React logo. I'm not gonna make my own. I'm just gonna take one from the internet. Okay. Is React Wednesday? Let's make that a Boolean.
Or just default it to true, because every day is React Wednesday.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's like Groundhog's Day, but less debilitating.
Hopefully the Swiss haven't taken our Groundhog's Day idea.
To be honest, I'm not quite sure what it is. Is it like an American thing?
Yeah, there's a theory that on some random day, I think in February, if some groundhog, which is like a rodent that lives in the ground, sees its shadow, there'll be 6 more weeks of winter. And if it doesn't, winter's over. So you can tell how sophisticated our weather prognostication skills are over here. But there was a movie called Groundhog's Day about this guy who's like a TV newscaster guy, and he's like kind of a jerk. And so he keeps repeating the same day over and over and over and over again until he kind of, quote, gets it right. So we've adopted that as when things never end, it's Groundhog's Day.
Oh, I see.
Possibly more than you wanted to know, but it's a pretty good movie.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I don't watch a lot of movies. So
that's why you have time to make cool things like React Wednesday videos.
Yes, I make movies.
This is
Yeah,
clever. Right. I would have grabbed the image, but treating it as source because you knew it was an SVG. It's a I like it.
My idea was to take an image, but actually it's an SVG, so we can just use the SVG.
Smart.
And then we have better customizability.
Right.
Yeah, because man, I could even see like SVGs give you a lot of potential too, because you could animate different parts of that. Like in my head is going through things I could do with this, like our logo, like the Kondoka, the ninja character, like we have SVG assets of that where we have like different parts of it isolated, right? Like the arms and the head and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. If we have time, I was interested in talking about the way, Jonny, you see the like similarities and differences between this and the React 3 fiber, which is using under the hood. It's also using a lot of, it's using WebGL, but it also can work with SVG and can do animations and stuff. So,
yeah. So similarities. So I think React 3 fiber, it's a. So these are like not like mutually exclusive or things that it's not like you have to choose like not like similar tool, but actually you can use React 3 fiber in Remotion. Maybe I can even show you a demo.
That makes perfect sense.
Wow. Okay, it's like a V code. I should be able to find it.
Yeah, and if not, that's fine too.
But I can show you like oops. I can show you one animation that I did with React 3 fiber. And I can even open source it if you want. So like this is 3D text with React 3 fiber, just animated with Remotion, and it's not easy to do WebGL, but I took a course and I'm trying to learn it a little bit.
Cool, super cool.
See, these days I buy the course and then pretend I'm going to do it. So you're ahead of me again.
Yeah, the last few days I gave up on it a little bit. I need to not do that. I was just happy enough to have gotten so far, and now I'm not continuing. It's like always happens.
So much knowledge out there and so little time.
For the high level, do you want to explain the new hook you just introduced, Spring?
Yes, I need to do that. So it's actually not a hook. It's just a helper for making Spring animations. So you pass in the frame and the frames per second, and then it will, based on that, tell you, it will animate from 0 to 1 by default with a Spring animation. And to best show it to you, let me just add
Color
it.
shift or yeah.
This is interesting to me too, that like I kind of like how you're able to define each thing's animations sort of in isolation. Like, because I thought you were going to do this bit of animation just back in essentially the main file, but it's kind of cool that you're able to put this all right in here.
Look at that.
Well, and one of the nice things about the bootstrapped Hello World example he gives is he's actually showing something in one sense more advanced than what he's doing here, which is there's a concept of a composition. So you can actually have sort of like isolated internal timelines that get composed into a larger timeline, just like you do with a video editing tool, where you have like your samples and you're like doing crossfades or stuff like that, whether it's audio or video. It's a very similar concept that he is able to do with this composition structure.
Yeah, because my question was going to be almost like
That's awesome.
Yeah, like how do you organize projects like as these things get more complex? But you're by showing this, you're kind of almost answering it, because really each of these things can sort of live individually. And also this is just a React app, right? So create folders and whatever to your own preferences, I imagine.
Yes, absolutely. So the question, how do you structure your React app? That's how you should think about it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to tell you. It's up to you. But you should structure it like you structure your React apps. I guess have like definitely make a lot of components. And also one cool tool for structuring it is you can have multiple compositions. So let me show that really quick. So let's say I only want to work on the calendar. I can make this my own composition. And now I can just click here. It appears in the sidebar. And it doesn't work. Let's have a look.
Properties.
Okay, I need to add some default properties. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And those are basically
an exception.
pass along to the component when the composition is going to try and render the component that you're passing in, similar to other component architecture relationships, like Material UI does a similar thing.
I see. So really, this is almost like you have a complex thing you're working on, but you need to isolate something, get rid of the noise, more or less. Is that more or less what's going on?
Sorry, I figured it out. Sorry, I needed to figure it out.
Yeah,
can you repeat
no worries.
the
Well, is like the left sidebar there, the sidebar there, the compositions, is it more about just like isolating individual pieces so you can just test them without all the rest of the noise of your app?
Yes, it's like similar to Storybook on one hand, where you can like design each one of your components individually. And also here, if it was like a 2-minute video and you just want to like work on a 2-second sequence, you need this kind of composition, right?
Yeah. So it's also, yeah, my mental model for it is it's primarily for, just like with video, if you have like someone's editing a particular like video track of like an overlay that's going to be on there, like you wouldn't like smush them all into the same timeline. You would have things that you're kind of composing together that you can move around in terms of the overall timeline for your final video edit that you're trying to make. Like that's kind of my mental model for it, is where it shines.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's also After Effects has the same thing. Yeah. It's also called composition. That's the other thing where it was inspired from. So if you're happy with it, I can render it out and I can show you that part.
Yeah, let's see it. And AKD Cubed talked about an SVG converter that converts SVGs into React components. I took a look at it. It looks interesting, but I don't know what it actually does. Does anyone have any context there? I'm all about things that make things automatic.
Yeah. So it probably does all the steps that I just did manually. Where is it? Here. So what I do is I just take the SVG, paste it into a React component, wrap these things around it, make sure that it passes all the props so you can style it. And it probably does that automatically for you. I think I even used the website before.
So for somebody that just wanted to convert a bunch of components quick, maybe they should take a look.
Definitely. Okay, so I can show the last step. Hope this will work out. Just gonna do Npm Run Build. Very similar to how you would make a production build of your React app. And now what it's gonna do is first gonna create a Webpack bundle, and then with in parallel it makes a lot of screenshots. It just did 50 screenshots in just a few seconds, and now it stitches them together.
Are there any like practical limits of this? Like as you scaled up, is there like how big can you go with something like this?
So in terms of resolution, I haven't reached it yet, like full HD and I think even 4K someone did. It's working well. Of course, it gets slower.
Yep.
And I was so lucky that I got invited to speak on React Summit this year. I think it's like in a month. And I need to pre-record the conference talk. I think it's like half an hour with video and audio. And my plan is to write it all in Remotion.
I love it.
So I'm going to record myself and render like out a half an hour video. That's going to be the stress test. But I think I'm feeling confident. I think it's going to work.
Real quick, since I dug into the innards of your framework, did you end up exploring the WebAssembly port of FFmpeg as an option?
Ooh, that's really good question. I did not yet.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
But we could like create an all in browser version.
That's exactly what it was.
Remotion in the future. That would be so sick.
Yeah, there's also a port, just to let you know, there's a port of MP4 box as well. I can share some links with you if you're curious about what's going on in that world.
Yeah, I've seen a few of these things. I have to figure out like the basics first, but this project is so exciting, has so much traction, and we are moving fast. So I think eventually we will get to explore these things, and it's going to be super exciting.
There was an audience question about what the screenshots are manufactured with.
Okay, if it uses Canvas for screenshots, no. You can use any web technologies. As you can see, I just used regular HTML, CSS. Never used a canvas for that. So you are not limited by a canvas. There are like some other tools which allow you to make videos using just a canvas element. But I think this one is a bit more like allows you to use more web technologies.
I think they mean though for the actual like recording phase of this. Is that what it is? That still not using Canvas, or when it's actually producing the MP4?
So it spawns up a bunch of Puppeteer instances, which is essentially the headless version of Chrome. So it spawned up like 8 Chrome tabs and screenshotted everything. It doesn't use Canvas. Unfortunately, you cannot create a screenshot in browser. That's also like one thing that's still limiting us for creating a fully in browser version of it.
Gotcha.
Okay, so you spawn up Chrome tabs and you can get the screenshot based on what's being rendered at that point. And you parallelize it, so I guess you complete it quicker and then concatenate everything towards the end to get a video file.
Exactly. And speaking of that, we can play it.
Let's do it.
Man, that's winning right there. We need to NFT that and make some money off it.
If you want to use it, just let me know. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, no, for sure. I like what's cool too to me is like you could also just send me like a Git repo of this, and then I could like tweak it super easily and make other videos. I think that's what's sort of fascinating about this approach is just it feels far more accessible to a developer than a video editing program where you don't get to leverage all this stuff like React, npm, like you said, you can go nuts with this.
Yeah, there's a lot of manual stuff with video editing tools that if you could organize your project better and drive it with data and logic, you could there's a lot more things you could do quickly. Frankly, Jonny, I'm extremely impressed with what you were able to put together with us yapping in your ear for the last 30 minutes. It's very impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me. And I hope you will also give it a shot. I could convince you. This is like something serious. If you want to check it out, it's now on my GitHub.
Yeah.
And you can play around with that and maybe like even create a little intro for your show.
You should put a link in the you said it in the private chat so I could send it out to everybody that wants to check it out. I think my last question, and Chad, if you have any last questions, feel free to drop them in now, is what is your plans to do with this? Like, is this a totally free offering? Like, what do you see the future of Remotion being? Are you going to try to build some sort of a service around it, or what do you have in mind?
So right now it's like a completely new model kind of, where it's free for individuals and small companies. But if like big companies, and I've set the line at if you are 4 people in a company, then you need to acquire a Remotion license. So I set up this this page just over the weekend where you can see like how much you have to pay if you want to use it commercially in a company. But for most people, it's completely free. They can use it commercially without restrictions.
And the pricing model is very generous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've made it really fair, and any company can really afford it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So yeah, I hope to make a business out of it, and that allows me to work a lot more on it. I think it's a lot better that, you know, now the project has a lot of tractions and issues are coming in. People want new features, and I really want to support everybody who does it. I want to come on these shows, I want to be able to invest my time on it, and still have like a perspective of being able to get something out of it, and make a really healthy open source project. Work on it over years. I think it's going to be awesome.
Awesome.
We wish you much success. You put a lot of effort into it, and frankly, you have something really neat here.
Thank you.
One thing we like to end up with is just a series of just anything you want to plug or talk about. So sounds like remotion.dev is probably the place to go for just to get started. Is there anything else, like where's a good place if people want to follow you? Are there any good social accounts you want to point people at?
Yeah, so I have a Twitter where I like post all my announcements. It's this JNYBGR.
Yep. Pass that in the chat.
Yeah, I don't want to spam all my socials, but yeah, go there.
Cool. Dan, you want to end with your plug for the week here?
I'll sling in the newsletter. So yeah, just to tell you how it works, like our development staff submits all the articles. In this case, Christian submitted the Remotion one. We published it and then asked Jonny if he wouldn't mind coming on, and he didn't. So here we are. And so, you know, if that's your kind of thing, Google it. We'll never sell your email.
And I'll toss in a link in the chat to just the React Wednesdays homepage. If you want to check that out, we're talking Gatsby next week, Recoil the week after that. So lots of cool stuff. But Jonny, man, this was awesome. This was like really genuinely one of the coolest live coding things I've ever seen. So I wish you the best. And I'm going to actually have to toy with this.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm very glad you liked it.
All right. Well, thanks again, and thanks everybody, and I'll see you next week.
Have a good day.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for tuning in.